So, the spoilers are out for My Hero Academia Manga chapter 373, and let's just say that there is going to be a huge change in the war incoming, and you'll get to see what that change is going to be. But first, right after this. Hey guys, how's it going? It is your boy, Manga Man Drew, and I'm back to cover the spoilers for My Hero Academia Manga chapter 373 titled Friends. And when it comes to what we're seeing with the spoilers for this chapter, it seems as if the discrimination aspect of My Hero Academia seems to be coming to a fairly good conclusion, with a very big bombshell coming at the end of this chapter, potentially involving Kurogiri. So let's talk a little bit more about what goes on in this chapter from the spoilers and see what this chapter is most likely going to be about. For starters, the chapter begins with Shoji as he remembers Mike saying that he was about to enter the hospital and asking him not to let anyone else through. A mutant is about to attack him in reference to Shoji, but the pig man we saw in the previous chapter holds the weapon before it hits Shoji. The Paranormal Liberation Front General tells them not to stop and to keep following their spokesman. The pigman says that he has suffered more discrimination multiple times and that just thinking about it makes his blood boil, so he was thrilled when he heard Spinner's call to action. He felt that someone was finally speaking for them and that it was time to strike back on this world full of prejudice and tactum people. But as he listened to Shoji's words, he realized that there are also good people in the world, that he doesn't know everyone. So here's something interesting that is happening with this chapter, and it's something that Horikoshi has been doing a lot in the past, 100 or so chapters. And from what we're seeing, Shoji's words did get to the people at hand, but what Horikoshi does a lot of is having other people actually speak up and take action. And from what we're getting, the pigman comes to a realization that, yeah, what he's doing is not necessarily wrong in the sense of the meaning behind it, but the actions he is taking at this moment aren't really the best way to go about it. So we're getting a little bit more showing both sides of this discrimination and really showing that both sides are neither in the right nor the wrong, but that there is this big misunderstanding that needs to be addressed. And from what we see with the next part of the text spoilers, it seems as if the general who is in charge of this entire operation has finally been taken down, because the next line of text spoilers say that the general starts to despair, saying that the plan was perfect, but that Octopus ruined it. Some other mutants tell him to keep marching, but the pig man isn't over. He doesn't know how he should have acted. Was he supposed to just keep quiet and do nothing? Shoji says that their protest was neither a mistake nor a waste of time. This is when a hero says that the mutant's words resonated with him and apologizes for using violence to stop them. All those who spoke their feelings and beliefs were shining brightly. Shoji tells them to use this light to change society, to make those who are prejudiced feel ashamed to even consider raising their fists against mutants. Rocklock then realizes that the protesters have finally stopped. So yeah, it seems as if when it comes to the discrimination plotline, the solution is just really having a dialogue, that violence wasn't necessary and they just needed to talk to each other, which, I mean, to be fair, that's pretty much how all of these conflicts in the world can more or less realistically be solved, with having a dialogue with one another. So I think I'm going to enjoy a little bit more of what is going to be said in this chapter involving this discrimination plot, and how most likely it's going to be settled not just necessarily by Shoji, but by everyone who's in here involved in this protest, raid, riot, whatever you want to call it, and getting to see where it's going to go from here from what we see with the spoilers. And with the next lines of the text spoilers, this is where what we get in the chapter gets a little bit more juicier and revolves more around Kurogiri, Shirokumo, as well as Spinner and Present Mike. Because from what we see with the text spoilers, we cut back to the hospital where Mike shoots a voice wave in Kurogiri's direction and knocks down Spinner. His voice damages the device that All For One and Tomoe is recording. Spinner realizes this, but is still lying on the ground. Mike keeps running towards Kurogiri. Spinner is out of strength. His body has shrinked and he can no longer move a finger. This is when he realizes what else fell to the ground besides the device. One of Shigaraki's family's hands, the one that Spinner put in his pocket at the end of the last war. Spinner starts reflecting No one wants to follow him, and he won't be able to wake up Kurogiri. He lets himself be carried away by the moment and went into battle with his followers, but all he really wanted to do was be able to reach Shigaraki. Mike realizes that Spinner hasn't stood up and begins an internal monologue, telling Shirakumo that Aizawa has lost an eye and a leg. That's why he can't lose his good memories. If he is no longer Shirakumo, the best thing is for him to disappear and stay as a good memory. But if you really are Shirakumo, then ... So from what we're seeing with this part of the text spoilers, we're getting a little bit more into characters such as Spinner as well as Present Mike. And it seems to be, if not necessarily character development, they're most likely going to be getting some type of character growth in this part of the chapter in the next upcoming chapter from what we see with the spoilers. And from what we see with the next and most likely the last part of this spoilers, it seems as if the development that Spinner gets in this moment is really going to be what helps turn the tides of the war against the heroes and the villains. Because we get with the final lines of the text spoilers approaching as Mike is about to finish the sentence and says something out loud, but Spinner finally stands up while remembering all of his moments with Tomura. He puts the hand on Kurogiri's face and says, "Let's go save Shigaraki and the others." Kurogiri then breaks free and holds Shigaraki's hand with his mist. We can see some of Shirakumo's traits on his face, like a pupil and the bandage on his nose. But he says, "I am the one who protects Tomura Shigaraki." Spinner passes out. End of chapter. And as we get for the note for the end of the chapter, it says that Kurogiri joins the battle. The war reaches a new stage. So pretty much from what we're getting with the spoilers, this confirms that Kurogiri is going to be on the side of the villains, and that is extremely dangerous because not only will he be able to potentially prevent Shigaraki, Tomura, Shigaraki for one, or whoever the individual should be named in the fight between Deku and this individual, Kurogiri can just warp him away or warp Deku away and just cause a whole bunch of havoc somewhere else where Shigaraki's quirk can just run wild. And we don't know exactly what's going to be happening with it. Maybe this individual is Shirakumo, maybe it's Kurogiri. It's very implied that it's Kurogiri, but we just don't know yet. But yeah, this is pretty much all I really have to say for the spoilers for this chapter. This is pretty much going to be, from what we're seeing with the spoilers, a more wrap-up chapter for the discrimination plotline and how this thing is going to be handled, which from what I'm seeing, it's pretty much handled fairly well in my opinion. So we're getting a lot of that potentially in this upcoming chapter, as well as potentially getting Kurogiri revived into this war via the help of Spinner and Present Mike, and possibly seeing where this is going to be going in the future. But yeah, that's all I really have to say for the spoilers of this chapter. Hopefully you enjoyed the spoilers, hopefully you enjoyed this video, and if you did, why not leave a like down below and subscribe to my YouTube channel for more content like this. Do all that cool jazz, and hopefully I'll be able to catch you in my next video. Goodbye!